Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This time last week, it was no punches pulled. Unfortunately, you have to wait until this time tomorrow for that. However, myself and the main man, Jay's Fight Talk, are here, and we're going to talk the heavyweights tonight. Jay, how's things, mate?
Tip top, brother. Still buzzing off the weekend. I still haven't come down.
Absolutely. That's it, mate. Well, we got to talk heavyweight boxing, don't we? We're going to get into the ins and outs of September 21st tomorrow and what happened with the Riyadh season card. But there's a lot to uncover here. I've got a lot of names written down here. I think I could have kept going. I've got at least 15 heavyweight names here that are in this hat. The division's absolutely on fire at the minute. So, you're talking the upper echelons. We've got the December the 21st to come by, Fury against Usyk, which is going to have huge repercussions on the division. But there's so many other matchups or potential matchups right now that, look at this, for example. I'm just going to mention these two names off the cuff. Daniel Dubois and Martin Bakole. The last couple of months, mate, these guys, they've gone from not really being spoken about too much to arguably both top four heavyweights now.
I mean, anywhere on social media you go, there's articles and pictures and snippets on both. Obviously, Daniel's getting a lot of momentum off the back of the performance at the weekend, and Martin's getting the rub of the green off the performance out there in Saudi when he beat Jared Anderson. So, yeah, I'd say that I know Martin Bakole is technically not British, but, we claim him as our own, the Congolese jock / UK veteran. But he's spent a long time over here in the UK. He's definitely in affiliation with Scotland, let's put it that way. But what I'm saying is...
claim anyone, mate.
We'll take it. But those two have slowly but surely become the two hottest commodities in the heavyweight division. And for me, I'd put them together. I've been calling for it since about 11:30 on Saturday night.
Yeah, for me, that's the fight that not only does it make the most sense, but stylistically, it's the best fight to make out of the rest of them as well. Whatever happens with Fury and Usyk will play out. I think AJ and Hearn and Warren and Dubois are going to get together and Turkey are going to get together and probably arrange that rematch. But if that doesn't happen, I hope it's not Joseph Parker. And I feel bad about saying that because Joseph Parker's gone and fought two fights in Wilder and Zhilei Zhang that no one wanted to fight, really. No one knew Wilder was shot before Parker took him on last December. No. Zhang is coming off the Joe Joyce wins. No one wanted to fight. No one wanted that smoke at all, the Zhang smoke. And Parker's gone and took them both. And we haven't really heard much from him, really, since March when he beat... so that's 6 months ago now that Parker beat Zhang. We haven't really heard much from him. Is he waiting for a, opportunity against... it wouldn't surprise me if they do Daniel Dubois against Joseph Parker, But like I said in the review show the other day, I just think that it doesn't use Dubois' momentum right. That it's a bad matchup for him stylistically. I'm not saying he can't win. He could go out and stop Joseph Parker. For God's sake, Joe Joyce stopped Joseph Parker. But, Parker looks reinvented with George Lockhart and Andy Lee. Dubois definitely, reinvented with Don Charles, Kieran Farrell, so on and so forth. The Bakole fight, and again, somebody who's, banging form. All these guys, Bakole, Dubois, and Bakole, Dubois, and Joseph Parker, all three in the form of their life. You match those guys any three ways, then, that they're great fights to make.
Yeah, I mean, the Joseph Parker fight, for me, is probably not a fight I really want to see at this stage. I believe that it's all wrong for Daniel. I believe that Joseph Parker has the tools and the skill set.
Muffling, sorry, mate, a tiny bit.
Can you hear me now?
It's just muffling off the mic a bit, I think.
1 second. Let me sort this audio out. I'll take it off. Is that any better?
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, for me, I believe that the Parker fight's all wrong for Daniel Dubois. I think that Joseph Parker wins that fight. I think he'll navigate himself around 12 rounds, pop shot in. As we know, he's dramatically improved over these past couple of years. I think it was you that posted something on socials earlier on today about the way that 2 years ago, Joe Joyce stopped Parker, and look where they are now. And Parker's on the fringe of a world title. Joe Joyce is getting mocked because people think he's punchy because he got cut off mid-interview, and he's coming off a couple of bad losses. The Joseph Parker fight's an easy fight to make. I don't want to see it. I just don't believe that it's the right fight for Daniel. I think it's all wrong stylistically. I'd prefer to see the Martin Bakole fight, just for the simple fact I think Martin Bakole's been avoided for long enough. I think he's paid his dues. He's just been out there and beat a guy that nobody wanted to fight. America's hottest prospect. Martin Bakole basically did to Jared Anderson what Daniel Dubois has just done to Anthony Joshua. Also, I won't say he was so much of an underdog to the likes of ourselves, but certainly to the outer boxing public, it was sent there basically for Jared Anderson to get rid of him because he's sort of been the bogeyman. He's cast a dark shadow over the heavyweight division for a long time. He's the king of sparring. Billy Nelson's told anybody that will listen for years, and he's never waned from the fact that he believes Martin Bakole either beats or gives absolute nightmares to any of the top heavyweights. And I just believe that Martin Bakole's more than earned his shot. It's an easy fight to make. Offer him an amount, and if it's not stupidly low, I believe he'll take it. I believe Martin Bakole will fight Dubois anywhere. He'd fight him in his dad's mansion's front garden. And I want to see it. I want to see Martin Bakole get a world title opportunity. I do think that he beats Daniel Dubois.
It's a tough fight for Dubois, but I'm not writing him off anymore.
You can't anymore.
I picked him to beat Filip Hrgovic, to be fair. But I thought he'd have issues with Big Baby Miller, although he did come in drastically out of shape, Big Baby Miller. But obviously I know you picked Dubois all week, and I credited you for it. So massive respect for that. I thought AJ would dispatch of him this past weekend. So I'm done picking against Daniel Dubois. I think him and Martin Bakole is a good at 50-50, no matter how much. I love Billy. He always gives us all the time of the day, and I've got a great admiration for what he's done. But he's dismissing Dubois too much himself as well. It's a 50-50 fight. I don't care what anyone says. Anyone can win between Dubois and Bakole.
Yeah, me picking Bakole is not dismissing Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, chances. Don't get me wrong. I would pick Bakole as well. I would pick Bakole as well, but it's definitely a 50-50.
But yeah, Daniel Dubois, the evolution in his abilities has to be heralded, and I'll repeat what I said on the live and I said on the review show that has to go down to coaching. Kieran Farrell has added a dynamic to his game that we didn't see. Daniel Dubois was always very robotic in his style. He was very basic, and I mean that with the utmost respect. I don't mean that I'm dissing his skill set, but what I'm saying is he came in at the weekend with a lot more fluid movement, and he wasn't as easy to. Well, you saw Anthony Joshua could not read him, even when he had him wobbled on the back foot, head all over. He still couldn't really catch him clean because Daniel Dubois was doing cute little movements, and if you go back and watch the finishing sequence, how calm he is in utter chaos. We're screaming, me and you are screaming. 98,000 people, depending on who you speak to, are screaming in the stadium. There's pyrotechnics going off. And he just stayed focused, so calm. And the finishing shot is just he literally just turns his right hand over.
Any weight on it. It was just perfectly timed.
For me, is down to coaching. They have drilled and drilled and drilled. A lot. I've seen people say 6 months ago or whatever about who's Kieran Farrell. He had one good fight against Crawler and he had to retire early. He hadn't really trained any chap. Listen, what Kieran Farrell does with amateurs and professionals is going under the radar. He, along with the likes of Steffi Bull, is bringing through champion after champion through the small halls, the grassroots way, and this now has brought him to the forefront in terms of being a recognised, established coach. But a lot of credit has to go to them. I believe if those two hadn't been in his team, we would have seen a different fight on Saturday night.
Yeah,
a lot different.
I think
the old Daniel Dubois gets knocked out by Anthony Joshua.
Oh, 100%. Big up Jams Boxing Chat for joining us.
Jams.
We'll catch you on Liam's Fight Night picks tomorrow, mate. Hopefully Well, Liam's already informed us it was a banger, so yeah, look forward to that.
And I think Jams is coming on JFT picks in a couple of weeks. I've got the results; they'll be coming out tomorrow. It's not good news. It's not good news for you, mate. But that's all I'll say.
Jam's doing the rounds. Big up Jam's Boxing Chat, Boxing Media Hub always. Bakoli versus DDD in the Congo. Yeah, I love it. Billy Nelson told us they were close to making AJ versus Bakoli in Africa. So you know,
I mean, that's still a fight that could happen. To be fair,
yeah. Why not stick Daniel Dubois in? I want to not just cover AJ and Dubois. Obviously, that's recent, so of course we're going to probably start there. Big up Wayne Herman, my main man, for joining us.
Wayne. Can I just before you move on? I didn't mean to be rude. I want to see Daniel in a homecoming. I think he's deserved that. I think after what he did on Saturday as the underdog, let's be real, not many people picked him. He went in there, smashed. There were 98,990 people there for AJ on Saturday night. There was a handful of people there for Daniel Dubois. Again, I'm not trying to be a comedian or poke fun, but 99.9% of the people that were there to see AJ. It was the AJ show. The champ walked first. I want to see Daniel get the homecoming that he deserves. An arena, you know, I don't believe he'd fill out a stadium unless he fights
on that,
AJ again. I ain't got it on.
I don't know.
I've taken it off.
The audio's muffling a little bit. I don't know what's going on. You're all good, mate. Jams would love to come on the show, he says. So yeah, I want to move on to other heavyweights in the division now. So I've got a list of them. I want to ask you just some quick fire questions about what you want to see next from these guys. Fury and Usyk, I'm sure we're going to do it to the death by the time December 21st comes over. You know, we know the repercussions of that fight. We know what's going to happen with that. So, you know, maybe we'll stay away from those two for now. But Moses Atalma.
What do we do with him? I just want to see him in a meaningful fight at the minute. I think he's good. I think he could be great. But I don't want to see him rush. So for me, he's got to fight Solomon Dakers, David Adelaide, somebody of that ilk, somebody that's sort of domestic level, but a little bit more established than himself. Because I think, similar to Hamza Shiraz, he don't have to, you know, have fight after fight around that level. But I think he needs tests en route to the top. So I'd like to see him. I think he's ready for David Adelaide, Solomon Dakers, someone like that. And we then call out the winner of Wardley and Clark. I think he's that good. He's that good.
I think they need to fight again, don't they? They were scheduled in to fight Dakers and David Adelaide. So yeah, let's see that one happen. Wayne said that you and Jay both picked Dubois. Yeah, definitely. You boys got it bang on the money. Wayne picked Dubois from the outset as well. So credit to you and Jay's fight talk. But Parker deserves a good fight. He does, Wayne. You're right, mate. Joe Parker really does deserve a good fight. Unfortunately for him, his style compared to Daniel Dubois, Martin Bakoli, and the likes of those guys, it's a little bit less fan friendly. So it might not lend himself to getting the fights necessarily that the others will, because ultimately Turki Al-Sheikh, who's funding all the fights, he loves the heavyweights because he loves the knockout chaos. You know, he calls the show knockout chaos. That's what he wants to see. You know, Joseph Parker ultimately, he's winning fights and he's doing amazing. And, you know, credit to Andy Lee and George Lockhart and his team. But, you know, he's not as fan friendly. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because you do what you do to win fights. And he's lost his fair share of fights. He's lost to Dillian White, Joshua. Obviously, Joe Joyce knocked him out. You know, do what you do to win fights. But Dubois and Bakoli may get more opportunities, in my opinion, because they're more fan friendly than Joseph Parker. How about somebody who's been a little bit forgotten about in more recent times, Jay? Ajit Kabiel.
I mean, is my audio working now?
It's a little bit muffled.
Do you want me to jump out and jump back in?
Jump out, mate. Jump back in. I'll hold the fort for a couple of minutes.
You fill for a couple of seconds. I won't be long.
All good. DJ Pat's joined us. Thanks very much, Pat, as always, my man. Yeah, so I was asking Jay about Ajit Kabiel. He's just popping out and popping back in with a slight audio issue, but I'll carry it on for a little while. You know, Kabiel's fought, again, for me, he's the president of the Who Needs Him club. Ajit Kabiel, unfortunately for him. You know, he had the great win over Makhmudov. He had the win over Frank Sanchez. Took 2 guys undefeated records. Obviously, we've seen Makhmudov lose again since. But, you know, Agit Kabayel, unfortunately for him, you know, we saw him fight Derek Chisora in Monaco all those years ago, but he doesn't have the name of, you know, even of Joseph Parker. So Kabayel's going to have to go through another couple of fights, in my opinion, before he gets anywhere near back up to world title contention. Again, we've got Jay's fight talk back.
Am I back? Because my camera's not working now.
Yeah, no, you're back. I can see you, mate. Your audio's on and you're good.
Right, I don't need to see myself then.
Agit Kabayel, Jay?
The forgotten man, unfortunately. I think he now is going to take Martin McCauley's place as the king of the Who Needs Him club. I don't think anyone's going to rush to fight him. I'd like to see him fight somebody like Hrgovic, maybe.
I like that fight. Kabayel and Hrgovic.
I don't know what we're going to do. Yeah, great fight. I think that's a great fight. I'd like to see that. Yeah, as I say, he's too good for his own good. The guy is too good for his own good. So he's going to have to do it the rough way, like McCauley's done. He's going to have to take fights that nobody wants. He's going to have to take fights in Uzbekistan against a 9-foot.
Well, here's one for you. Jalolov, the double Olympic champion who was had a good few pro fights and then went back at Paris and just won the Olympics. Awkward fight. You know, he's probably going to get his chance coming up soon. He's on the list also.
Is he knocking on a bit in his mid?
I don't think he's too old, to be honest with you. He might be in his 30s. I'll have a look. He's 30 years old, so he's prime for a heavyweight.
Yeah, he's prime. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because the heavyweight division now, it's probably got, I said top 8 earlier on. It's probably got 8 marquee names, and then there's a massive drop off. So it's difficult to sort of match him. What about Kabayel Parker?
I like Kabayel Parker, and it's been spoken about, but I feel like it's harsh on Joseph Parker. I do. I genuinely feel like it's harsh on Joseph Parker. I think he beat Wilder, and everyone can say what they want about Wilder after Zhang, but nobody knew Wilder was shot when Joseph Parker went to beat him. It was a setup fight for Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder to fight, wasn't it? That was the play.
Yeah. Oh,
and then he beat Zhang, and nobody wanted to fight Zhang. He just come and knocked off Joe Joyce. So, like, I'm thinking, you know, Kabayel's an awfully tough fight for anybody. You know, if you're Joseph Parker, if you're Fury or Usyk, Kabayel's a tough out, and he's prime as well. He's 31, 32. I think it's harsh on Parker, but, you know,
who is there, though? That's how difficult it is, Sam.
Yeah. He's WBC number 1, I think, Kabayel.
He's not getting that fight, though, is he? He's going to have to sit around for God knows how long.
Yeah.
I mean he's
like you say, mate,
for about 18 months.
Yeah, the debate's fascinating because it's very difficult to match. Like Jams has put here, I'll read Pat's comment first, but DDV v. Bacoli makes no money. That's the problem. Yeah, exactly, Pat. So that's why I think we'll see the rematch. It's all about the money. Dubois and Warren will want that dough just as much as AJ wants to win back. Jam said Kabayel's just too dangerous for a reward. It's such a shame as he could be a great. Parker will be good, but Parker won't risk for minimum pay. That's exactly
what I'm saying, man. It's a massive risk for very little reward. I mean, what do you get for beating Kabayel? Yeah, you beat a good prospect because that's all he is at the moment. Unfortunately for him, he's not going to get the fights unless he does a Triple G and sort of does a European tour, comes over here, knocks out a couple of our domestic heavyweights. Do you know what I see for Kabayel? And I hate the fact that I'm even saying this, but I can see him getting pissed off with it all and doing a flipping crossover fight, you know, like a flipping YouTube nonsense to just get a massive payout because he's sitting on the shelf. He's not talked about. I mean, yeah, you said they mentioned him versus Parker, but in passing, I've not heard Kabayel spoken about as a potential dance partner for any of the top heavyweights with any kind of...
Kabayel beat Frank Sanchez, I think, on the Fury and Usyk card in May. I've literally not heard a word mentioned of him since. So
that's what I'm saying. Nobody talks about him.
Yeah, but the undercard hasn't been announced for December the 21st yet between Fury and Usyk, and they're going to go big on that, and they're going to go big on the heavyweights, I think, in that too. You're going to see Martin Bakole will definitely be on that card, I think. The likelihood is Zhang's going to be on the card. You're probably going to get Kabiel on the card. You know, Joseph Parker's going to be due to fight in and around then. You know, Moses Atama, you could probably get, he won't fight any of the big guys or anything, but, you know, all those guys are waiting to be scheduled for a fight. Every single one of those guys. And December the 21st doesn't have an undercard yet. So it's just, you do the math, really, don't you? They're all going to be matched up together.
I think it's Parker then. I think it's, I mean, I can't see him wheeling Wilder over here. He'll want too much money. I know it's Saudi money, but I just believe he'll want too much money. I think Joseph Parker is the easiest fight to make. He wants a fight. He's willing to fight anybody. I think he'll take the fight just to prove a point.
Who is it? Oh, well,
Parker.
You mean Parker will take the Kabiel fight? Yeah.
What's that there? Put Luca's comment up, please, because I'll have 100 quid with him.
Christ, he doesn't need a YouTube fight, no chance. What I wonder anyone. Oh yeah, Kabiel will be on the December 21st card.
I never said he wouldn't be, but what I'm saying is eventually he will get that bored and be that stale that he'll end up doing some kind of crossover fight. That's what I think. You know, willing to put 100 quid on it if you like, Luca.
Where's Filip Hrgović fit into this?
Yeah. It depends. I mean, has he spoke to anybody since the loss? Because I've seen very little on him. I wanted to see him and Kabayel fight, to be honest. That's the fight I mentioned first when we first spoke. Don't know where his head's at. He wasn't expecting to lose against Dubois. I mean, you have to go in there expecting to win, but 90% of the people that watched that fight expected Hrgović to make easy work for him and then fight Joshua on Saturday night in front of 98,000 people in Wembley, and Daniel Dubois turned that on its head. I don't know is the answer to that question. I've not heard sight and the sound of him for months. Depends what kind of mind state he's in when he comes back.
I think Wilder will take any fight. I think he'll take any fight. I think he just wants one more. I think he'd fight Kabiel. Do you know what? Any heavyweight in their right mind that's attached to Riyadh season is blowing Turki Al-Sheikh's phone up to get the Deontay Wilder fight, because it's an easy fight for him. Let's be honest. Wilder's way over the hill. You know, if you're Kabiel, you know, obviously Parker's already beat him, so the traction's probably not there for him. But if you're Kabiel, if you're Bakole, you know, if you're any of those kind of Riyadh season guys that have been fighting on the cards, you know, you're blowing Turki up for the Wilder fight, 100%.
Yeah, it's sad to see the demise of Deontay Wilder. I'm half thinking Jay's Fight Talk could get on a Saudi card and fight Wilder, to be honest.
There's been a few demises lately. Joe Joyce is another one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not biting on that nonsense that he's punchy, that interview. If you see the other angle, Derek Chisora's pissing about in background and he catches his eye and loses focus. But yeah, he's had a massive fall from grace, hasn't he, Joe Joyce? But it was always gonna happen, using his head as a defensive tactic. It can only take you so far. God's sake. I like coming on my phone, mate.
Yeah, no, all good, mate.
My Mac's not working. I'll be back in a sec.
All good. Lucas said, I think Hrgović might most likely to get frozen out. No big names, really, as he's lost to Zhang. Boring fight to watch, seems uninteresting. Do you know what? He completely overlooked Daniel Dubois was the problem, Luca, wasn't it, for Hrgović? He carried that arrogance about him all week. He wasn't, you know, he didn't take Dubois seriously. It's hilarious now that Dubois beat him and Anthony Joshua in the space of 3 or 4 months. You know, now everyone will take Daniel Dubois seriously. Yes, James Jay's just going away to sort that out. Not too sure what's happening, so apologies for the audio issues. Guys, Jay's back in here now.
Nightmare. Let me shut this one down. I don't know what's going on with my Mac and that tonight. iPad first, Mac now.
All right, mate. We'll line it all out before no punch is pulled tomorrow.
One sec. No. Oh, my God. It's not a good advert for Apple, this. Get me back on Android, Moss. Jesus.
Come to SW Fight Hub. You get the real part of YouTube over here.
Jesus. No frills here. We don't do any editing over here. It's all real, mate. It's all real. Sorry about that, guys.
Give me some thoughts on what's going to happen with Joe Joyce. I think it wouldn't surprise me if they fed him to Moses Atama. It wouldn't surprise me, or would you be sad?
Really?
Yeah, they're both at Queensbury. It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, yeah. Surely Joe Joyce has done more enough for him to not be cannon fodder for an up and coming prospect. I'd hate to see that. I know where you're coming from.
It's business.
To be honest, though, if I'm honest, I don't like that fight for Atama. I don't like it for him. I think if Joe Joyce can get through 3 or 4 rounds and slow him down, then you never know.
You never know. Wayne's having a good laugh at the SW Fight Hub nightmare tonight. You're all good, Wayne. Thanks for real and raw footage you get over here, mate.
You won't mind. I've got about 3 grand's worth of audio equipment here. Fucking hell.
Hrgovic Atama, Jam says, yeah, man. I actually love that fight, Jam. That's
so
a good
do I,
one.
but I don't think they take the risk for Atama. No. A defeat for him at this stage could be devastating for his confidence.
Hrgovic looked so uninterested against Dubois. It wouldn't surprise me if he retired or something stupid like that.
Yeah, he's not. And like I say, he's not clambering to come back, is he? I mean, I know he had a nasty cut and there'll be a recovery time, etc., and plastic surgery, but 2 months is long enough for me. I'd want to be straight back in there, but obviously I'm not Philip, and I'm assuming he's made a few quid. He turned over with a bit of fanfare and furore, so he'll have got a decent turning over deal, and I'm assuming he's well paid, so he might not need to box. And some of them, when they lose that OSAM, they don't want it anymore, and they become a different person.
That's it. He would have learned a lot about himself. Then Luca, I agree. Luca agrees with what I said. Should I say about Frank making the Atama versus Joyce? It wouldn't surprise me. Joyce has got 1 fight left, in my opinion, in his boxing career. And he's going to want probably the biggest payday. Joshua's not. Well, to be fair, I watched Eddie Hearn's interview with Boxing News a little while ago, and Joe Joyce, he didn't dismiss the fight.
Okay.
For Joshua. Right. So, whether it happens or whether it doesn't, I don't know, but it's in play.
We will see. Interesting. Very, very interesting. The heavyweight
lost to Dynamite. He did say that. Jamie Hrgovic said he would retire if he lost to Dubois. I said it in the build-up. Yeah, he was so cocky and arrogant in that.
Who said that? Joshua?
No, Hrgovic said it before the Dubois.
Right,
he's like, if I lose to Daniel Dubois, I'll retire.
Bye then.
That's it. Pat, backing up what I said a minute ago, we're going to see a huge heavyweight night on December the 21st, most definitely. I think you can definitely see Parker, definitely see Kabiel, definitely see Martin Bakole, definitely see Zhang. If the 4 of them were matched up, I would probably suggest it would be Zhang versus Parker. The rematch, I think, would probably make more sense. I couldn't see them doing Kabiel versus Bakole, but I think Billy and Martin would take the Kabiel fight. I don't really think they care who they fight, to be honest.
They'll take any fight. I know Billy and Martin will take any fight. They just want anyone.
I think they just want to be on the Riyadh season cards as well.
Well, I think they just want the belts. I think they want to prove, and I think Billy more so than Martin. Martin just seems really easygoing and just wants to fight. But I think Billy, has been, I wouldn't say ridiculed, but certainly mocked in some way, shape or form about backing his guy. And up until he beat Jared Anderson, people were saying he'd not proved it. You're talking shit. It's made up stories. You're going to say this about your guy. And I think Billy's got the bit between his teeth and he wants to show people what he knows about Martin. We saw a little glimpse of that in the Jared Anderson fight. Mm-hmm. I think it's his time now. Just let him go, man. Give him a world title shot. Yeah.
This is interesting from Luca because he says Billy said the next Bakole opponent will make a number 1 with 2 organizations. If that's the case, it'll either be Joseph Parker or Ajit Kabiel because I think Joseph Parker's WBO number 1, I think, and Ajit Kabiel's WBC number 1. Bakoli's WBA number 1, and they just did the IBF, didn't they, last weekend? So I'm not too sure who's IBF.
I don't think it doesn't bloody matter who's number 1, really, does it? They'll do what they want, and the rankings are nothing more than a glorified list. If the sanctioning body wants to strip someone, make someone an interim, lineal, in recess, they'll do what they want. They'll do what's best for the sanctioning body. Yes, people do get fights off the back of being interim and ranked number 1, but I wouldn't hold out for a world title shot just because you beat the number 1 or across a couple of organisations. It doesn't always guarantee you a world title shot. But I think Martin Bakoli's at the stage now where they'd have to come out and admit that they don't like him or they don't like Billy, because he's doing exactly what he needs to do to get the shot. And for me, it's if it's not the next fight, it has to be the one after the next fight if he comes through his next fight, because he's also in his prime. The time's now for him, and I want to see him in a big fight, a meaningful fight.
100%. Wayne and Jams have both said about Hughie Fury here. Moses Atama versus Hughie. So Hughie's fighting on this GBM card on Friday night, isn't he? But yeah, Hughie Fury again. He's just not exciting to watch, is he? He's just got that spoiling style.
He's just not good enough. He's just not good enough. Bless him. Tries. He's a lazy cruiserweight for me. I think if he skipped and did a little bit more in the gym, he'd be better at cruiser. I think he could make cruiserweight as well. But even as a heavyweight, I just don't believe he's as good as they think he is. Again, I'm being as respectfully disrespectful as I can, but I've never seen in Hughie Fury what other people saw in him. Flatters to deceive, and anytime he's sort of stepped up, what's he been beat now 3 times? Not that is a reflection on how good you are, but what I'm saying is is it 3 losses, Sam?
Who for Hughie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Parker. Who's the other? Who else he lost?
Pulev or someone like that, were it?
Pulev, yeah.
There's your 2. And I mean, Pulev's not been Pulev for about 10 years. I think Moses Atama had walked through Hughie Fury, not literally blast him out in a couple of rounds, but I believe he stops him. I just think he'll overwhelm him. He's too quick for him.
Povetkin's beat him as well.
Hughie never, I called him Hughie then. Hughie's never had momentum behind him. His career's always been stop-start. I know he has issues, doesn't he? I don't know if he's got something like Crohn's disease or something.
He took 3 years out, and I think he's kind of...
He had something wrong, didn't he? Something. I don't think it was Crohn's.
Something with his diet. Peter Fury said it was something to do with some dietary requirement.
Yeah, I don't think he hits hard enough at heavyweight, me. Just don't think he hits hard enough, and I don't think he's slick enough to get away with not hitting hard enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, he definitely doesn't hit hard enough for a heavyweight.
And I don't think he's slick and smooth enough to get away with not hitting as hard.
He'll probably get another big fight at some point due to his surname, but let's be fair. But
I always thought that he'd get to a point where they'd fight each other, Tyson and Hughie. I thought that was the narrative, but that's never going to happen, and I don't believe they'd do it, even though the dads are not speaking. They never disrespect each other.
No, they just don't really talk about each other anymore.
Yeah.
Tyson and Hughie. Yeah, big up Billy Nelson, Jam. Absolutely, got a lot of time for that man. Speaks his mind. Cannot say anything bad about the man.
Billy's one of the only boxing trainers that I've ever, boxing coaches and trainers and managers that I've ever met in all my time, in all my 40 years in boxing, that literally does not give a shit about what he says. He never says anything worried about being in with a promoter, getting on a show. Billy just says it how it is. I mean, he's always given you time, hasn't he? And he's
been on here 3 times, and he's never once said, "Don't ask me anything." He's never once said,
"You can't ask this,"
you can only have me for 10 minutes. No, he'll let you speak to him for as long as he wants to speak. He's brilliant. Always give me loads of time.
Yeah, he's real. He's real, and I think that's what resonates with people. I always listen to what he's got to say, and I'm always interested in what he's got to say because he's normally talking sense, and he knows boxing. And he's finally starting to be proved right. So yeah, big up Billy.
Absolutely. Mamo Char. Yeah, not
Stop it,
heard
Lucha.
anything of him for.
Why would you? He's useless. Absolutely flipping useless.
Is
Last time I
even-
saw him, he boxed that bloody Christopher Lovejoy in a
Oh,
banqueting suite somewhere.
Yeah, one of the
He's
best
not-
knockouts you'll ever see of all time is when Maris Bradis absolutely flattened Manuel Char
Flatlined him.
at heavyweight. Oh, it was unbelievable.
Manuel Char's no good. Useless. No one's interested in him. He's a YouTuber now.
It's where he's the only top 30 heavyweight I wouldn't recognise. Yeah, absolutely. So Jams is saying he lost to Povetkin, Pulev and Joe Parker. Absolutely. Wayne's got a question here for you, Jay. Do you think Tyson Fury, in the appearances of late, looks confident anymore? A couple of things he said give off the wrong vibes.
You can't read Tyson Fury. You've never been able to read him. You know, he seemed pretty jovial at the boxing, and him and Usyk interacted a little bit.
Saw that.
Conor McGregor looked shit scared. Because you remember, Conor McGregor ran his mouth a little bit before over Tyson.
Called him a liar.
They had a bit of, because they said they'd never met, and Conor was trying his hardest to sort of catch his eye, you know, laughing and stuff. But no, I think Tyson looked really good. Not in terms of
his IFL interview was a bit weird.
His what? Sorry,
his IFL interview. If you watched it, was a bit weird.
I didn't watch.
I know he was going like, I lost 12 rounds to 0 to Usyk, and Usyk's the man. Like he was just behaving like that.
Oh, didn't he say I got knocked out 4 times?
Yeah, like he was giving off like that. But then afterwards, he was like, "No, of course I thought I beat him. I got robbed." You know, he's just playing off.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't read Tyson because he pisses about that much. You never know whether it's Tyson that's talking or whether it's the alter ego that he has this. When his gob just takes over from itself in front of the camera. I'm still thinking that he has a shot in that fight. I think his only shot is sticking to the task at hand that he had in the first fight, which was, boxing at range and not allowing to be trapped in the corners. Not that it's easy to manipulate Usyk's footwork, but Tyson was making pretty easy work of it for 5 out of the first 6. You know, and he got sloppy and got caught. So, no, I'm not worried about him going into that fight. I didn't see anything that makes me worried. I haven't seen anything that isn't Tyson Fury in the build-up to every single fight he's ever had.
Absolutely. Big up, Mr. Neutral, for joining us, sir. Hope you're doing well. The event saw some of the videos earlier from the event for the Joshua Dubois. I think looks amazing. So good luck.
I'll have to get someone at watch-alongs.
Couple more names I want to cover off, mate, before we wrap this one up. Dillian Whyte.
I mean, yeah, what about him? He's still banned, no?
I saw him milling about, and he interviewed Ben Shalom and did some things at the weekend.
He always looks like
Chisora 3. Who wants to watch Whyte Chisora 3? Like
no one. Dillian always looks like he's slept outside and he's just woke up and rocked into a boxing show. He just don't give a shit, does he? God bless him.
No.
For me, I don't want to see him fight Chisora. Can I say this? I'm not asked really if I see him box again. He's not got a right lot to offer for me at top level anymore. He's like Chisora. He's on the slide and I'm being as disrespectful and respectful as I can be. Yeah, I'm not clambering to see Dillian Whyte box. I mean, he'll get a fight, but he'll fight one of the upstarts. But is Dillian Whyte going to want to fight one of the prospects coming up? I don't believe so. He believes he's a big name. He does carry weight, you know, but nobody wants to see him and Chisora.
I know, that's flabbergasting, Jam. You're right. I actually forgot about that. Mamo Char is still the WBA regular heavyweight champion. That is ridiculous. Didn't Dubois have that belt when he banged out Trevor Bryant?
But we're also forgetting that the regular belt isn't actually a flipping.
Oh yeah. No, the regular belt's just a ABC, WBA, EBF, whatever.
Manuel Char will never ever be a proper.
He'll get a payday though off that if he's WBA.
I don't think he's bothered. He's in LA. He's in Venice Beach and all that. Carry on. I see him on Lovejoy's social media. The best buddies are there.
Oh yeah, I've no idea.
Neither of them look like they're ready for a fight.
Nah, I've no idea. When AJ did touchdown in the third and it wasn't given a knockdown, I've actually no idea why. Jamsey said he wants the AJ rematch now after Saturday. Shumi's talking about Dillian White, but Hearn ruled that out earlier. I listened to his IFL jam. Eddie Hearn said they've no interest in the Dillian White fight.
Can I just say in that rematch? Can I also clearly state that there isn't a rematch clause between Joshua and Dubois? There is no rematch clause. What there is, it was a 2-fight deal with Riyadh season. And Turkey asked if they could do the rematch as the last fight on the deal. So there isn't an actual rematch clause. It's a gentleman's agreement that if there was a dispute, a controversial ending, which for the Hearns camp, AJ losing is controversial, that they would agree to rematch. So there isn't actually a rematch clause, but it is looking like they will make the rematch. To fulfill the obligation to Riyadh season.
Yeah, like realistically, obviously, yeah, it came out that there's essentially not a rematch clause, but they're both tied into Riyadh season. But if you're Daniel Dubois and you're Frank Warren, your options are you fight Martin Bakole, you fight Joseph Parker, you fight Zhang. They're the three names really that. Or Kabiel, all those guys are on winning streaks, so that they deserve to be in with a shot of winning a heavyweight belt. The other guys, your Dillian Whites and your people like that, they don't deserve to be fighting for a belt. So they're for me really, and Hrgović just lost. They're the guys that are in line for a shot at Dubois if he doesn't rematch AJ. Fury and Usyk are tied up at the top of the division. Whatever it is, what you're gonna do? Parker 3 or 4 mil, Kabiel couple of mil. They're all a couple of mil, 15 to 20 mil, probably 10, 15 mil easy to rematch Joshua. Why would you not rematch Joshua? It's probably an easier fight than Bakole and the rest of them. So for Frank and Daniel Dubois, for Frank and Dubois, it's a no-brainer. Doesn't need to be a rematch clause.
No, listen, the fight's done. I think they're just playing us all now. So Frank and Daniel are making out they're not really bothered and they're checking their options. Don Charles has played I'm not a manager, I'm just a coach, I'm not at liberty to say, I just do a job. So they're playing the game because Daniel is now the A side. I know it's the AJ show, but after what Daniel did to him at the weekend, the negotiations are at his table now.
It's Dubois Joshua.
It has to be, man. It has to be.
Dubois Joshua. It should have always been Dubois Joshua.
Yeah, but it's the AJ show, isn't it, mate? Like I said, 97,990 people were there to see Joshua. Everybody expected Joshua.
Jay, I heard that sorry to cut you off. I heard that the Joshua Dubois fight was signed before the Hrgović thing happened with Dubois or whatever. So it was all done, like all the posters and the ring walks and the Joshua Dubois rather than Dubois. It was all done before Dubois even beat Hrgović. So that's why it stayed as to what it was.
Right. Okay. But he's the champ now. And he is the champ.
Exactly. And I'm with you, Jam. Why would he go and fight Kabiel or Parker or Zhang?
Risky as well.
A third of the money. He got a third of the money.
Like you said, it's more risky as well. After what he did to Joshua at the weekend, how can he not expect to do something similar again? So it's easy money for him if you look at it like that. That's not me saying that it's easy money, but I believe that if he's got, it's just easier money. As we've said, Kabayel is very risky. I think Joseph Parker would beat Daniel unless he got stopped. I think boxing ability, he could box his head off for 12 rounds and make it look fairly easy. I'm not dismissing Daniel's chances in that because I've just backed him against a man he could never beat in AJ, and he made it look simple. If we're talking about logical sense, make the fight, do it first quarter of next year in either a stadium here or in Saudi for loads of money, and smash AJ again, and then we can talk about defenses against your mandatories and whoever else.
100%. Mr. Neutral's latest comment, you called it, Jay, on our review show on Sunday. This is the time for AJ Wilder. I don't care what anybody says. This is the time. Now, for me, AJ does splatter Wilder, but I think Wilder's more shot than what AJ is. But however, Wilder's just been offered a lifeline for me. The fight was gone when Wilder lost to Parker and AJ beat Wallin. And then it was even further away when AJ knocked out Ngannou in 2 rounds and Wilder got battered by Zhilei Zhang. But now there's more intrigue in it again. Now Joshua's just lost to Dubois. You know, the fight's there to make now for me. But Joshua will want to fight Dubois, in my opinion.
Yeah, because what you've also got to bear in mind as well is if Joshua goes to fight Wilder and it goes tits up for him and he gets knocked out, it will ruin his internal legacy. To be flatlined twice, 2 fights in a row, yeah, I know he lost to Usyk twice in a row. Wilder's no Usyk, right? So it's an easy defeat. It's an easier pill to swallow losing against somebody like Usyk. Usyk's going to go down as one of the greatest heavyweights of of his generation. I nearly said ours then, but unfortunately, I think I'm 2 generations removed from your fucking young ass. But anyway, what I mean is for him to go and fight Wilder and gets chinned. Imagine if he got just caught in the first or second and got flatlined. Imagine what that.
Do you know what? I think Wilder will be able to land on Joshua. I do. And I think,
mate, it's a 50-50 fight for me.
I'd favour Joshua, but Wilder's in that fight, I'm telling you.
Joshua's not the Joshua of old, though, is he?
Uh-huh.
And Wilder is that erratic. Listen, I watched him ringside, right? And I mean, I could feel his shots when he boxed Audley Harrison. He is that unorthodox and throws from the maddest angles you've ever seen. That's how he catches you. Look when he knocked, what's the Cuban kid that he knocked out? Well, I say kid. Yeah, 75-year-old guy. But his hands were so fast and sharp, and Wilder just 1-2'd him. Boom, straight down the middle, sat him down on his pants.
That shot on Dominic Breazeale, that's one of the scariest knockouts you'll ever see. And Arthur Spilker as well. He's got some ridiculous.
But there's no tell on his punches. Some of them there is, because he just... But the ones that knock him out, if you notice, he's pretty good at hiding them, but not through skill. He's not particularly... his fundamentals are short at. He ain't got any.
Yeah, but you can't prepare for it either. That's the other side of it.
And I think the unorthodox nature that Dubois had, because Dubois was really unorthodox compared to how he normally boxes, and it threw AJ off. And I think if Wilder sits on his chest and just starts winding on him, someone's going to sleep in that fight, aren't they?
It's a 3-round fight, and judging from what I'm reading in the chat, and Luke has put it up here, I think Mr. Neutral said the same, and a few others as well. I think there's more interest in the Wilder fight than the Dubois rematch. I think we pretty much know what happens in the Dubois rematch.
I've said it. I said it before the fight were made. I said it when the fight were made. I stuck with my pick. Dubois beats AJ. This AJ 9.5 times out of 10 for me. 9.5 times out of 10, that happens. What happened on Saturday night? The other half a time is when Daniel's leg buckled and his leg nearly hyperextended. AJ manages to land again and puts Daniel out. But 95% out of 100, he doesn't. And we have an ending like we had on Saturday night. So, yeah, for excitement as a boxing fan, I think the Wilder fight is a more exciting fight because it's a pick'em. Whoever lands first wins that fight. And that's what we saw on Saturday, didn't we? Whoever landed first, and it was Daniel, and we got a finish. But AJ showed heart. He got up off the canvas, beating his chest, all that nonsense. But he did show some cojones. As a fan, I think the Wilder fight is a more intriguing fight for me, and I would prefer to see that than the Dubois. Because like you said, Sam, we have written the script for Dubois versus AJ. We know what happens in the end. There's no spoiler. We've seen the ending. We know what happens. I believe that happens again. If they rematch, I just think it goes an extra couple of rounds. I think he'll do him in 7 or 8.
And what you need to remember as well, Dubois is getting better, AJ's getting worse.
And he's 26, man. He's 26. He's nearly as old as me at 27.
Derek Chisora.
Yeah, I mean, just give him some fun fights. Butterbean, anyone. I don't want to see Derek in a fight. I'd rather see Derek go out on a blaze of glory. Give him someone he can beat. Give him Drago, that flipping. Is it Steve Robinson? Or what about No Party, No Carty? Isn't he an heavyweight?
He is Thomas Carty. Yeah.
Yeah. Give him a fun fight. Give him a fun fight that he can,
Do you know what? I don't like him for what he's done, but just give him Jarrell Miller or someone like that. Just whatever. Like Jarrell Miller could sell anything. He's a good talker.
Hear me out. Sorry to cut you, brother.
No, you're right.
Literally just come to me now. What about Derek Chisora, Manuel Charr, so that Derek can go back to Zimbabwe as the WBA regular heavyweight champion of the world?
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah.
Sign him up. I want my percentage. I've just made that fight. Whichever promoter's going to put that on, Mr. Warren.
That wouldn't surprise me. Jean-Pierre Augustine, yeah, absolutely. Drago's on Boxing Media Hub at 9. There you go. There's a bit of advertisement for BMH. Check that out later on.
At you, Drago. Don't be coming for me, brother. I wasn't saying you were cannon fodder. I just meant it's 50-50 fight. Remember, I struggle to fight sleep, brother. It's all bravado. But no, I've just thought then they could navigate Derek into a pretend Ponzi world title to give him the Zimbabwe fight against then someone like Drago or Carty, or do you know what I mean? I'd like to see Del Boy go out on his own terms. Could you imagine if he got the belt? I know we've just slagged it off, and I know it's not real, but it's Derek's only chance to get him one, really, isn't it? And it'd be real to him. I mean, I don't even know if he's ranked. He'll be ranked with WBA somewhere, won't he? Top 20, maybe.
He's probably got a half-decent ranking after beating Joe Joyce.
And it's an easy fight to make. I believe Manuel Charr will fight him. And I think Derek's got a reasonable chance of beating him.
I think Chisora could not give any less of a shit about the WBA regular belt. He cares about this. He's after...
No, I know he does, but it'd be a nice cherry on top for end of his career, wouldn't it, to say we're a world champion. He did have world title ambitions at one stage. Remember when he boxed David A? And, he had world title ambitions at one stage. He boxed Klitschko and, I know he's about the money, but Derek's made money. Derek's a clever businessman, I know he plays that sausage character, but Derek's a shrewd businessman. He's made some good decisions. I'm not making out, I know his financial situation. I don't know him, but you can see from what I do know that he's a clever guy. He's got his business acumen and he surrounds himself with good people. You don't really see Derek falling out of nightclubs and drinking and, partying and stuff. He's a quiet guy, lives on a farm. He's got his missus and his 2 daughters and he lives a life. I'd love to see it. And he might not be bothered, but I am. Del Boy, do it for Jay's Fight Talk, brother.
So, Neutral, I watched an interview on the Grand Arrivals of Riyadh season last week where Derek Chisora was asked about Johnny Fisher and he says, no, that's my mate. I'll never fight him. And then he said about Moses Atama, I'll never fight him. I'm only fighting. And then he was proposed Jarrell Miller after that. And then he was like, well, yeah, I'm looking at, he's looking at bigger names, bigger money. That's what Derek Chisora cares about ultimately at the end of the day. Yeah, Jam on this one as well. Sol Dakers, unfortunately for himself, he has no power at heavyweight. He's got like 2 or 3 knockout wins in his career.
He's no good.
Fan friendly. It doesn't lend itself.
He's no good for me. And sorry, I am being disrespectful. I just mean he's not as good as we thought. I just think he's very limited. Doesn't really hit that hard. His footwork's sloppy. He's a decent domestic level fighter. He's not going to do any great shakes in the game. He may win a British title. Could you imagine putting him in with Wardley or Clark now? They'd smash him to pieces inside a couple of rounds. I think David Adelaide beats him, if I'm honest. I think David, and he's not, he hits hard, but his boxing fundamentals is real sloppy.
Now, Fabio Wardley exposed him when I fought. Wardley and Clark, the winner's going to be right in that Riyadh season mix as well, to be honest. I think Wardley's signed with Queensbury now, hasn't he? And Clark's with Boxer, obviously.
Yeah.
So the winner of that's going to be right up there in that Riyadh season mix.
Yeah, I think they're both a a couple of steps away from challenging any of the top 8, but I think they're on the cusp. They're certainly on the cusp. I'm intrigued to see that fight because I still think it's a 50-50 fight. I thought Fraser Clark won the first one. I don't think it was a draw. I think Fraser Clark won that fight for me, but we'll see hopefully they'll whoever wins puts a rubber stamp on it.
Well, it needs to deliver now with that card losing Shakur and Ordina. That needs to be the chief support for me to be Evan Bivol. That's the best.
Definitely.
Well, it won't be though. Eubank Jr.
The press conference is in London tomorrow, so I think they'll possibly announce a running order maybe tomorrow. I'm gutted I can't get there, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I don't think it'll be ram-packed. I don't believe the casuals are going to queue up for Beterbiev and Bivol. It's
just because Turkey's here from last weekend. It probably made sense to kind of do it in London. I think we'll be on No Punches Pulled tomorrow, straight after the Beterbiev and Bivol press conference. So we'll maybe have a little reaction to that. Andy Ruiz and Jarrell Miller are the only other ones I can think of off the top of my head that we haven't really spoke about yet. Jarrell Miller, don't really want to give him the consideration, but
I don't think Andy Ruiz wants to fight. Really, I won't bother with him. I think I'd rather see Jarrell Miller get a good hiding. I'd pay $24.99 to watch him get slapped about because he's a cheat. I don't really like, as you say, I don't like giving cheats a platform, but he's a decent enough name. And I'd like to see Del Boy sit on his chest and smash his head in.
I like the Chisora Miller fight stylistically as well. I actually think that would just be a war.
Yeah.
Stick it on December the 21st. Chisora doesn't really fight Riyadh. He actually said in that interview as well that even though he's always in Riyadh for the cards,
how's he wangled that? Del Boy ended up being in the middle of it.
He never fights on the cards, so he goes to the shows, but he never fights them. He says
what I'm saying is he always ends up like backstage
Oh
involved.
yeah. You know he's right. He'd go to the opening of an envelope, Del Chisora would, but he said he only fights in the UK because he loves the fans so much.
Is that his channel, that Delicious TV, or were he working for them?
Delicious TV. Pat said that Sugar Nunes calling out Anto on Matchroom. Anto's going up to 135.
You need to go up. Put some weight on Anto. You do not want him.
Anto's currently eating 6 pizzas and 4 burgers and saying he can't make 130 anymore.
Just give him the belt, lads. Just give him the belt.
Yeah, I just can't. In fairness, though, Anto did look pretty gaunt on the scales last Friday.
And I don't think he performed to his best. I think you were right. I said it were a ploy. It wasn't a ploy. He was drained. I agree, Jams. I agree. I think Sugar Nunes walks through most at 130s.
I'd like to see Sugar against Shaki Foster.
Let's see if Miller can beat Varda first before he beats Chisora. Luca, you'd like to see what? Sorry, Sam.
Sorry, mate. What was it?
You said you'd like to see so-and-so beat so-and-so, and I missed the fight as you were talking about. Sugar Nunes.
I can't even remember now. I'd like to see Shaki Foster against Sugar Nunes. He's fighting Hobson Conceição. By the way, biggest robbery since Taylor and Catchwell.
Yeah. That was scandalous.
Disgusting robbery that was. But they're rematching and Foster will beat him, I think.
That was nearly as bad as Hutchinson 113, Buatsi 100.
We're getting to that tomorrow. That is phenomenal. Some of those scorecards. But Del gets promoter privileges. Neutral. You are absolutely right. Are there any heavyweights? Anyone in the chat? Before we sign out that we haven't mentioned? I feel like I've mentioned most of them. I haven't mentioned the legendary Christian Hammer. Mind?
Bloody hell.
Shot needs to get his due reward. Yeah, that was Jam. Tell me that isn't the biggest robbery you've ever seen. That there was definitely something dodgy going on that night.
It was a bit like the Tony Yoka Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, he signed with Queensbury, didn't he, Yoka?
Isn't he fighting
Joyce?
There you go. No,
but they're trying to make it because that's a rematch of the Olympic gold medal match where Yoka robbed him.
Yeah, but they had his girlfriend won a gold, didn't she? And they wanted the story, didn't they? So it didn't matter what Joyce did in that fight. If it had knocked him out, he'd have lost on points. I'm telling you. It's the same as when AJ won gold. Let's be real. AJ lost that final on points, really. He didn't win that Olympic final, but they had it They needed the Olympic gold medalist at heavyweight. They needed it, and look what they've done with it. Eddie Hearn was involved with that before he signed Joshua. It was always the plan. Joshua would have won that Olympic gold, getting carried out on a gurney, knocked out. He'd have won it by default. You know, we know about amateur boxing. Professional boxing's corrupt. Amateur boxing is more corrupt than you would imagine. I've lived it. I've been involved in it. I've seen it from the inside. But anyway, that's another show.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucas asked about Guido Vinello, who he beat Arsenal Beck Makhmudov, didn't he? The guy
Can't
who
read into that though. You can't.
Gabriel exposed him, and then
Makhmudov's shite. Makhmudov is dog shite. He's absolutely.
He doesn't know what to do when he gets punched in the face. That eye that Vinello done him on too, that was brutal.
Vianello reminds me of the two brothers, amateur Italians. Is it Cameronelli?
I've no idea. I've not heard
one of them stopped Davy Price in the Olympics. I'll find it. I can't. You're on my phone. Cameronelli, I think he's called. He knocked out Davy Price.
Is Sam Jones backed Vianello? Rings a bell. Does Sam Jones not have, or S-Jam not have ties to him? Or something. I'm sure they do. Adam Morelli and all those guys. But yeah, I guess he's a factor, isn't he now? Whatever a win over Makhmudov, he lost his last fight before that, didn't he?
Yeah, reminds me. I'll have to get the name now because it's doing me head in. But
he did. Jams, he fought on one of the small horse shows, Yoka, didn't he, the other day? Yeah, Queensbury, I think, have signed him now, so he's going to fight. He's going to fight Joe Joyce potentially. Here's Mr. Liam Tully. Nice quick 30 minutes to see lads. Some powder for MVP tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to wrap up.
Happy anniversary, Liam. You're not supposed to be online, brother. Roberto Camarelli.
Yeah, get off, Liam.
Roberto Camarelli is the Italian that reminds me of Viarelli. He's the lad that knocked out. He knocked Davy Price out in 2000 and whatever Olympics he were in. He knocked him out in bronze medal.
He's got him. Jams Boxing Chat's got your back here as well. It's pulled up.
Pulling out all the knowledge here, aren't we, boys? We don't talk it, we live it.
Frank Sanchez is another heavyweight who just got beat by Cabiel. He didn't look great in that fight.
I thought he was the man. I thought Frank Sanchez was the boy.
He was in the Canelo team for a bit, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah. I don't know whether he's got caught up in his own hype or what, but that did not look good, his last performance. He looked a shadow of his former self.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, hang on a minute. We've got a couple. Liam Tully's not here. He says lost to Ajagba before that. Yeah, he did. Yeah, in his last fight before that.
What about him, Ajagba? He's disappeared. The Nigerian Nightmare just disappeared, didn't he?
Well, he beat Vianello in his last fight before that.
Yeah, but I'm on about the hype.
He's only lost to Frank Sanchez. Yeah. He hasn't. Well, that was only earlier this year, the Guido Vinello fight. So, what's neutral? So, Lee in the cooking. Don't worry, coming over to you tomorrow. The boys always got David Price in the Olympics. Yeah, that's it. Jan's Boxing Chat dropping some knowledge bombs tonight. You can always rely on.
Told you, knocked David Price out in bronze medal match. He's got a brother as well. There's two of them. I think one's heavyweight, one's light heavy. They stayed amateur all the way through. I thought they'd turn over, but they stayed amateur. I'm pretty sure Camarelli boxed in the 2016, definitely 2012. And I think he lost at silver stage, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. I
guess unless there's any other heavyweights we can cover, I think we've pretty much covered them all. It's been a great 30 minutes, like we said. We're into an hour now, but we've got hang on a minute, we've got a couple more coming in. He's got a fight November 11th, but no opponent yet. I don't know if he's talking about Ajagba, maybe.
Yeah, he will be.
Yeah, plenty more to come then this week. We've got No Punches Pulled, where Liam Tully will be joining us tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. We're going to go all in on Joshua Dubois, the breakdown, the judges' scorecards, the undercards, what's next for all the fighters. Obviously, we're going to be discussing the four cards this weekend. We've got Ryan Meyer, you've got Alicia Baumgartner's fighting Delphine Pursoon. You have the Charlie Edwards fight. What's it called? Family Feud or something that you're calling on Friday. It's on Channel 5. I love them Wasserman Channel 5 cards on a Friday night.
They're actually decent, to be fair. You
always
get some
deliver.
good fights on them. We'll be doing a live watch along, won't we? I think
I will be doing live watch along for all of those fights.
Hakan's there. I think Hakan's going. Hakan's going, I think he said. Is it? Or is he going to Dixon Harper the next night as well?
Oh, yeah. So Hawkins at both fights. I think he's in Sheffield, yeah. Just a couple of comments on the boys. Thank you, Mr. Neutral. Great energy and show, fellas. Really appreciate that.
Cheers, pal.
Jams Boxing Chat. See you then,
Jams.
fellas. Good to see you for No Punches, Paul, man. Wayne Herman, long time and loyal subscriber. Big up, Wayne. Thank you very much for tuning in. So, yeah, we'll be here 7:30 p.m. for No Punches Paul tomorrow with Mr. Liam Tully. And then, watch-alongs definitely for your call Friday night.
Liam Shaw's out tomorrow as well.
Yes, Liam and Jans, keep an eye out for that on STBX, Liam's Fight Night Picks. Saturday, I believe, JFT Picks is going to be with Mr. Liam Tully, is it?
Episode 2. I'm going to do a little... I will announce the points tomorrow on No Punches Pulled. I'll announce that tomorrow. I'm not going to do a show just to announce the results. But, yeah, it didn't end well for my mate sat next to me.
Look, I called Josh Kelly unanimous decision.
You did, I think you did, mate. You did. And what? But no,
yes, Liam's at the Family Future. That's right. Hawkan got in the tickets, didn't he?
I forgot Liam going.
That's what happened.
So yeah, stay tuned. You'll see a lot more of us this week. As I said, we've got No Punches Pulled tomorrow on SW Fight Hub's YouTube. We've got Liam tomorrow with his show, and then we'll have a day off, we say, and then we'll be live Friday, live Saturday. Probably do a show Sunday. You will be sick of the sight of us, but stay tuned.
Absolutely, yeah. Probably potential for 3 watch-alongs on Friday, depending on if Ryan and Maya clash with Pursoon and Baumgartner. But I'd imagine Top Rank and...
No, they won't clash. They'll stagger them.
And Harper and Dixon on Saturday night as well. You got Brad Foster against Pete McGrail on the card as well. So have a look at them. But we'll see you tomorrow. No Punches Pulled, 7:30. Have a great evening, all. Thanks to Mr. Neutral, Jams Boxing Chat, DJ Pat, Wayne Herman, Liam Tully, Lucas joined us. Who else has been with us? Don't want to miss anybody out. Apologies if I missed anyone else. I think that's